What's up, guys? This is Marciea here with another episode of the Lady Strong Fitcast. And today I have a very special guest, Radaka, who is a yoga instructor. And we're going to be talking about how yoga can help with your workouts.
So the big question is this: how were two women who didn't cheat and purchase a gym franchise model, how were they able to spread their mission and purpose by empowering and transforming hundreds of women's lives through fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability with a micro gym business model of women only? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. We are Lady Strong Fitness.
Radaka, how are you today?
I'm good, Marcia. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. So before we begin, I want to let the audience know how you and I actually met. For those people that don't know, you are married to our videographer, Kurt.
Right.
And I think it was in December, correct me if I'm wrong, we were talking, Kurt and I said, man, we are in dire need of a yoga instructor. And he's like, well, my wife does yoga. So I told him, I said, we gotta, try to get you in and meet you. And I fell in love with you, and the rest is history. So and here we are today, fast forwarding a couple months later. So I want to start off by you tell a little bit about yourself, so that way the ladies can get a chance to know a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, my name is Radaka. I'm from Czech Republic originally. I moved here when I was 23. I have background in martial arts. I used to dance. And then when I moved here, I started doing CrossFit and weightlifting. And 3-4 years ago, I was kind of confused what I want to do, because I went through lots of injuries, shoulder injuries, hip injury, lower back injury, you name it. So then I was kind of just wandering around what would be the best way for me to maybe learn more about my body. And then yoga kind of came to me. And that's where I kind of started exploring a little bit. And after my first class, I felt absolutely weightless. So like mentally, physically, emotionally, like I just love the feeling. And I started coming regularly, and it was amazing. And then I started realizing some of my limitation in my body that's been coming up when it comes to my breath work. I didn't breathe properly, which I wasn't aware of. The same thing of like my range of motion. I wasn't aware of some of my range of motion were really limited. So yoga kind of uncovered that for me. And I was kind of learning more about myself, just physically, but on emotional, mental level as well. And what I love about yoga is that whatever you learn during your class, you can take it to your day-to-day life. And I got really hooked. I evolved in dramatic speed when I started doing yoga, and that was something I knew that I want to do, and I want other people experience the same thing. And I knew that if I would knew what I knew then, I wouldn't go through so much injuries. So it's something that I take really seriously, just because I work with lots of athletes, and I know how the form or the way you breathe or your range of motion, how flexible you are, will really help you to kind of maintain and also push yourself to the next level as an athlete. And that's really important.
100%. Yeah. So how long have you been practicing yoga for?
Honestly, there's been times when I like here and there, but like on regular basis from 2019, actually. It's pretty short period of time, but I've been practicing every day, sometimes twice a day. And yeah, so since 2019.
Now, I know there's different types of yoga. Which one in particular do you specialize in, to let the audience know?
I do hatha yoga.
Now, what is that? Because honestly, I wouldn't consider myself a novice. So what exactly does that mean?
So yes, you have different ways. Hatha is mostly so I kind of do like I'm trained in hatha, but from what I know, I mix the class a little bit. So what does that mean is usually hold posture for 3 to 5 breaths. And there are different way of stretching. So you have dynamic stretching, you have static stretching, and again, more you start teaching, more you get into different types of it and see like which one works the best. So I do kind of mix styles together. So I don't want to like I'm pure hatha.
Yeah.
But it's usually like it's interesting transition. And then usually it comes from centering yourself. We do some breath work, warm up, then do 3 sequences, which you have first one is more on the floor, and then you start standing and again. And some of the transition are faster than the other, more dynamics than the other, and then balancing. Balancing is one of the best challenges for people because we don't balance at all. And also it's like once you start thinking while you're balancing, you lose the balance. And that's the
Got
fun
it.
part about it.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then cool down again. But yeah, it's challenging, definitely. Most of the ladies tells me it's more challenging than their actual class. So that's kind of funny because again, you're not used to it, right? So that's when you find out where you need to work on some of the stuff more, and the best way it's balancing it out, because obviously if you can stretch certain way or if you cannot do something in yoga and you're trying to apply it when you're on the go during the workout, when you are not with yours, like you are more like doing it faster. In yoga you can be in your body and just kind of observe what is happening, and that's the beauty of it.
I
You
love
kind
that.
of, yeah. So I realized that most of the time I was going against my body, and once I started doing yoga I learned how to go with my body.
100%.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know before we begin and get into the meat and potatoes, I want to share my own personal experience with yoga. I was introduced to yoga. This was about, I would say, 8 years ago through my martial arts head coach.
Mhm.
And he had recommended that all of us as athletes would take that outside of class, our martial arts class, on average about 2 to 3 times per week. At first, I was hesitant. I wasn't too sure how that was going to be beneficial towards the art. But
Mhm.
as I continuously went, each week, I did really honestly started to notice a difference in how I was maneuvering. I felt like I was performing better as far as from a flexibility standpoint, because when you're wrestling and you get put in different weird and awkward positions, it became natural, and my joints didn't hurt, my ligaments didn't hurt or anything of that nature. So I personally, I love it. And since then I've been doing it myself. Now I would say about 1 time per week for sure. I prefer, it's just a personal preference, but I prefer hot yoga. So I know a lot of people can't take it, but I love hot yoga. So with that being said, I do want to start getting into some of the benefits behind it, how it will help our women in particular within the community. What would be I would like to start, if you're okay with it, from the bottom up, right? We'll save the best for last. So if you had to share with our women, what would be one of the benefits of doing yoga and how it will help them with their workouts?
Okay, well, I don't think there's the best and last. I think all of them are kind of equally,
Okay, that's
because I
fair.
think it's kind of intertwined together.
Okay.
And when it comes to the hot yoga, I love hot yoga too. But one thing is your body is already relaxed in the hot room. So most of the time, lots of people overstretch there just because your body is in a different form than in the regular room.
For sure.
So that was just the one thing that, yeah, so you have to be careful.
Yeah,
So
100%.
benefits, so many. Basically any benefits that you need you can take from yoga with a time, but for you as a ladies, one big one is breath work. And that's because lots of people don't know how to breathe. I got most of my injuries because of not understanding how to breathe. So lots of people are shallow or mouth breather. So most of the time, and you can try it out, just put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, just breathe and see which one is lifting up, which one is doesn't. Most of the people tells you none of them. It's like, so do you breathe? So we have to learn how to breathe into our bellies. It's called diaphragmic breathing technique, where we feel the air through our whole trunk. So you are breathing to your belly, your obliques, and your lower back. What that does is stabilize your spine. That means if you breathe equally correctly, your shoulders will be nicely stabilized, your hips and your lower back. If that's not gonna happen and you are lifting, one of your shoulders is going to be higher than your other, your hips, and then you're completely imbalanced. That's one of the main reasons why I put so much attention to breath work.
Mhm.
It also if you breathe, I hate those headphones.
That's
If
okay.
you breathe, sorry, if you breathe to your, again, if you breathe through your chest, not through your belly, you are constantly in sympathetic nervous system, which means you are constantly on fight or flight mode, even if you're sitting down and nothing is happening to
Oh,
you.
wow.
So that's one of the reasons why diaphragmatic breathing is so important. You're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So once you learn that, you learn how to be in control of your breath, in control of your mental state, in control of your emotions. So it's like once you kind of tackle that, and that's the same thing with the workouts. Like most of the time, from my own experiences, I know most of the people hold breaths when they work out.
100%. I was just going to hit on that. How would you
Yeah.
correlate that to working out? Because we find and hear a lot of women say, I don't know when to breathe when I work.
Yes.
So can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that? Would you say it's fairly similar to working out yoga as far as the breathing aspect, or is it
Pretty
different?
much, yeah, it's definitely similar. Usually when you think of extension, you're inhaling, and when you go deeper, you exhale. And another thing is like lots of people don't understand that if you don't breathe, your body is this flight or fight mode, right? So your body's not gonna do what you want it to do. So that's the thing, you're limiting yourself there so much. So I feel like it's good to do yoga just because it's maybe slower pace, and I'm cueing breathing, so that's how you kind of learn. And even like when I'm cueing, I get lots of feedback from ladies like, oh my god, I'm so glad that you said like breathe, or like, exhale. Or so they start like kind of like putting it together, because they do have the time to take those few breaths in one posture. So you just like, oh, okay, this is what my body does, and you can observe how it responds to it.
100%.
Yeah, so like it takes time, again, because it's a skill that maybe we forgot over the time. And obviously when you're in some complicated postures, or when you do some workout and it's on its own so challenging, it's just really hard for you to like, okay, like how to figure out how I'm supposed to breathe. So
Yeah.
that's why it's really important to just slow down, and then just to kind of, again, it's an observation, it's just kind of playing around and see what works for you. But most of the time I will cue you, but in the same time I understand everybody breathe differently. Everybody has a different depth or length of the breath, so that's why the dynamic postures are so good, because you do 3-4 times the same thing. But I was like, okay, as you inhale, and then when you go down you exhale, and then I just let them do it, and they just kind of can connect with it. So breathing is a game changer
Yeah.
in many aspects. Yeah.
I would always say when it comes to the workouts, because like I said, inhale. I always say exhale on the way up or against gravity, and inhale on the way down. It would you say that's pretty much kind of the similar type of thing in yoga, or is it different?
I would say it's kind of different. We usually, when we like inhale, you reach your arm, or like extension.
Yeah.
And when you exhale, it's like when you're trying to pull yourself closer to something, or like when you just split, you're trying to exhale, and then longer you exhale, you just kind of like when you want the body relax, that's when you like exhale, when you want
Got
to
it.
reach or yeah, so that's the opposite. Yeah.
Love that. Very cool.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what would be another benefit in how yoga can help with the women's workouts?
Flexibility, definitely. I've been recognizing that lots of women have stiff hips, not the best range of motion when it comes to overhead reach, or even when we do chaturangas. They always like, oh my god, like, like I'm so big in my upper body, or I don't remember last time I wasn't able to sit on my heels. Like, again, it's just kind of the recognize, like, it's just the they recognize the limitations, and they realize more we do it, you're getting closer to the shape. Like, I don't necessarily think you can ever master yoga. There's always challenges, and I think that everybody has like every shape's gonna look different, because we have different bodies and different structure of our bodies. And if you were injured in the past or whatever, it will kind of define how you look. But you can tell when maybe you haven't done that long time ago, and then suddenly you are in this posture and you're like, oh my god, it's like 20 years when I did this, and then you like, so that's, I would say, like, just kind of understanding the limitations, because then when you can work on them and bring them to the ladies workout, there's less possibility of hurting yourself when you're aware of it. If you're not aware of it, you probably moving the body around and you compensating the exercise, and that's when the injury happens. So what I'm literally talking about is flexibility. Flexibility is so essential to overall health, and most of the people take flexibility for granted, like they don't think it's important. But if you're not flexible, the mobility and stability won't be there as well. So I feel like the yoga, again, just kind of observation and recognizing where are you at, and then be aware of it. And then I also provide lots of verification and modification, and you learn this is where you are at in yoga. And then if you have something similar happening in your workout, you'll be aware how to address it.
I like that. So it's for any fitness level, right? It doesn't matter what stage or a level you're at within your fitness journey. Because I know some people can be intimidated by that, and they think that, oh, well, you have to be flexible in order to do yoga, when it's actually quite the opposite, you know? And we get some people that's like, oh, I'm not ready to work out yet. Let me get in shape first and then I'll come work out, you know? And it's like, no, not at all. You know, we're all at different stages, which I like. So you mentioned flexibility, like the shoulders and the hips. How does that correlate to the workout? Is that like with squats or with pushing, pressing? Like, how could that help them in their workouts?
Yeah, definitely depth of the squat, because most of the women can go to the full depth of the squat. So that's one thing. The same thing, like range of motion, like usually I know you have somewhat small barbells or something, but you do lots of dumbbells, but like you want to be overhead instead of being forward, right? So, and I also I work at Atletico. So it's kind of funny because guys stretch, and like stretching and strengthening as number one to not end up with injury or surgery. And it's crazy because I see it in the Atletico office, like you literally whatever we're doing in Lady Strong gym, like exercises or yoga, that's pretty much what you get prescribed after you get injured or like after surgery. So lots of people do things because maybe they want to look good. I think this is like a maintenance thing you have to do in order to function properly for a really long time. And that's like one of the things that I realized while I've been working there for 3 weeks, and my observation right there, it was just like it was just kind of like, oh my god, I gotta go back to gym. So it's just like, it's not just yoga, like it's important to like be strong as well, like you have to work your muscles, but also you have to make sure that you stretch them as well, because you need both, right?
100%.
So flexibility is so your body works the natural range of motion, so there's no limitation. So then whatever you do on top of that, you're not going to hurt yourself, but it's actually going to benefit you to move correctly.
I love it. So we've got a couple. I would like for you to list one more. So we talked about the breathing aspect. We talked about the flexibility. What would be another benefit to doing yoga to help with your workout?
Okay. Well, I had one more. It was kind of more like being in control of yourself, because that's a huge one. It's kind of, again, like when I said it, like it's you go with your body instead of against it, and I think that's important. And it's kind of might feel like redundant, but most of the times we are not really in our bodies.
Yeah.
We are mostly in our heads.
Yeah.
And during yoga, I'm trying to get you out of your head and be in your body. So once you are able to listen to yourself, so you are attuned to your breath, you know that flexibility is really important to you, and using that breath to get to that flexibility. And it's sometimes really uncomfortable. You will get into situation in the postures when will be absolutely uncomfortable to you. Why? Because most of our stress is holding onto our shoulders and our hips. Yeah. That's what most of your lots of people feel pain in their shoulders or their hips, because you're not stretching, because you're not moving, you're holding onto those emotions here, right? So I mean, aware of all this will help you to more understand your body and your mind and emotional state. Every single time when we do some hip openers or anything like that, I let them know, like, if you feel uncomfortable, it's normal. whatever you have suppressed emotion that's holding onto your hips, and they're letting you know they want to get out. So just breathe through it. So being able to go through any uncomfortable situation and understanding how to deal with it. That could be times during workouts when you want to quit, or if you're holding your breath and you're not breathing properly, you probably will go through some of the obstacles. And again, through whatever you are learning from yoga, you can apply it to your workout
100%.
and to your life. And that's what I love so much about yoga.
That's awesome. I think having body awareness is important because when you said that, it made me think of, I'm sure you've seen memes on social media where when you're doing like a plank and you think you look really sexy and you're doing this, but you look like this elephant with the butt in the air,
Yeah.
So it makes me think of that, it's like you think you're doing one thing, but actually you're doing another. So that's really cool to hear. So if I just want to plug you, if there's women that are on the fence about doing yoga and they would like to take a complimentary session, I would advise that you either reach out to us or just come join Radaka on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. 60-minute long session. I personally, I'll be there. I know there's been so many times I'm like, I'm coming, but the ladies rave about how awesome you are as an instructor. And honestly, we're so happy to have you a part of the team. So is there anything else you'd like to mention, Radaka, before we kind of drop the mic?
Definitely. Well, I was intimidated by yoga too. And it's just because the way it's represented on social media, and that's not the right way of doing it. As we are having fun, like I'm not gonna be strict, I'm not gonna be looking at you like I'm not, it's you will I always make sure that you're a safe space, no judgmental space, and we are having so much fun. And even though there are things that people can do, I'm at least getting you close enough together, and you have to understand. And what I love the most about yoga, actually, it teaches you how to celebrate your little baby achievements. Most of us are like so on like instant gratitude, right? Like we want it here and now. And yoga is teaching you that you fall in love with the process.
100%. Yeah.
And then once you're not even thinking about the outcome, here it is. Like you're literally in the posture and you're doing it. And that's like the best thing ever. Yeah. So wherever you are at, just come. We'll play around. I always say it's playing around because that's what it is. And we'll have some fun.
Some fun. I love it. Yeah. Celebrate those milestones because they're important. And we say the same thing when it comes to their weight loss journey. If their goal is to lose weight, is not looking at the end goal about losing weight, and celebrate those non-scaled victories. If it's like fitting better into those pair of pants, or liking what you see in the mirror, or getting a compliment for somebody. So yeah. And it's awesome that you can correlate that same thing to yoga. It doesn't matter what it is. It's intertwined, right? So, which is really cool. So with that being said, Radaka, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure having you on here. Ladies, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Lady Strong Fitcast. Have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or whatever your favorite place is to listen to podcasts. And if you really liked this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.